fun for today. All right, so I kind of wanted to go over this and do show a little bit of stuff so you can kind of see where I'm coming from. So like I said, we are at a point now where there are grown adults seeking secret messages from at this time an ex-president who's going to be possibly running for president again in 2024. And these adults are completely bypassing what he's actually saying and seeking out what they need to hear, what they want to hear for them to literally go on with their lives. Because if it's not true, they're going to break down. This is very scary. And this is why not all opinions should have a platform. And there's a lot, like I said, all the other channels that are out there are having a feud that, oh, you're dividing people, you're doing this, you're doing that. Pay attention to me, please. I'm begging you to pay attention to me. I'm literally begging you to pay attention and help bring your people, your subscribers, your followers back to reality before it all gets destroyed. Now, there are some opinions, grooming of children, radical grooming, pedophilia grooming, different things that are out there that you obviously would not give a platform to. You just wouldn't. I don't care what you say, you wouldn't. This should be one of them because you're actually allowing the mental breakdown of the American people by large. Now, what I wanted to kind of go over is, hold on one second. Is a couple things. Let me find this real quick here. And I want to pull this up here. There it is. Okay. I'm going to kind of break this down very slowly. What some of these people truly believe, all right, is the ex-United States president and some of his people are asking you to be an unpaid military, a unpaid force, to leave your job, lose your job, not work, not be able, and then when the time's right, if needed, to leave your family behind unpaid with no benefits or no anything, to go out and possibly storm or do something, because there have been times where, like I said, Kathy H has said she has people with AKs ready to rock and roll. An unpaid, unled military where nobody has literally come out and said, I am your leader, this is my military. I mean, they're doing it by secret coded messages. And they're asking a country which is, hang on one second. This rate chart we're looking at right here is obesity. Right? So we've got obesity, out of shape individuals who may or may not be able to run, jump, carry backpacks, and you believe that your leader in his best decision would have you go against the United States military on our soil because the military has to back the president, and you would go against the U.S. military, who, let's face it, we've already seen what the police and stuff are doing because that's their job. And if you're to upheave the Constitution, which they took an oath to protect, and put in place an unconstitutional Nasara Gasara and everything else, and you believe that that is what Donald Trump is telling you to do secretly, through codes and statements of flags waving, that's what he's going to do. Upheave the country and the world with people who are out of shape. There's no way, if you were to take military right now in regards to clearing a weapon, reloading a weapon, just running their equipment, you would have no chance. They could sit with a saw and mow you down. They could turn off your electricity at your house and wait you out. And I want you to actually understand this, that that these are adults, not kids, adults who honestly believe that that's what they want. That's what Donald Trump wants of them. To run out in front of bullets. And it's funny too, because I think of this, and this is something that when Japan came to take over Korea, and they came to occupy Korea during there was this kind of like a little civil uprising in Korea, and Korea asked China to help, and there was a treaty in place that said, hey, if China comes in, we're coming in. So when Japan came in to help with the uprising of Koreans, they had high-tech weapons. They had Gatling guns, they had stuff from Britain and things like that, where the Koreans had swords. And there was a battle that was fought that Japan just sat on the top of this hill. But the Koreans had to take this hill to be able to move forward. They were stuck down in this valley. And all Japan did was just sit at the top of the hill, mowing them down every time they tried to run up the hill. Because all Korea had was swords and bows and arrows and spears and things like that. So it was a battle that they were never going to win. They just didn't have an opportunity to win that one. Now, did they try? Sure, they tried. And everybody's going to say, well, we have to try. Well, at some point, educated people realize trying to win an unwinnable battle isn't the proper way to go. And there's other alternatives to that. And this is why when you're allowing at some point, well, we want everybody's opinion. No, at some point you got to push some opinions away because they're not safe, they're not realistic, and they're not mentally stable for people. Remember, you have adults who have children now looking for secret messages for Trump to ask them to step up, leave their jobs, leave their families, leave society, be alienated from their family, which some people are, where their family basically to help fight what they believe is a war without even the person that they're trying to follow legitimately saying to them to do that. It's all messages. It's all secret codes. And these are adults. Now, I understand that you're not going to listen to this and, hey, there's a lot of people on these other channels be like, well, we can't have Sage on there. He talks too much reality. He talks too much, intelligence. We just got to keep going with what we go. And that's fine. I'm okay. But I'm going to keep bringing my side. But I want you to stop for just 5 minutes and just listen for 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes. And think about what I just said. If you were in charge, if you were Trump, would you be doing that? And if you say no, are you seriously telling me you're a better leader than Trump? Or is it possible that's really not what he's doing? I'm going to say it's possible that's not what he's doing. But this is going to break people. It's already broken people. It's already broken families and ripped them apart. And yet, you still allow that platform out there. You still allow that conversations to be had to groom more people. You are grooming people into mental breakdown. You're not standing up and saying, no, that's not true. Show me. We do it at our schools. We will step in and say, we don't want this taught at our schools. Why? Why do you fight for that? Because you don't feel it's safe to be taught to your children, whatever it might be. You have no problem doing that because you know it's right. But when you do it, but you can't do it any other time, I can. That's hypocrisy. Would you want to tell your children, and this is the best one, would you take your kids out of school and say, don't worry about learning, don't worry about getting an education, don't worry about all that, it's fine, Nasara Gassara is coming? Would you do that? I challenge any of you that believe it to do that. Rip your kids out of school because they don't need an education. They don't need to learn. They're getting free money. But you won't. You're just going to stand there and say, well, we need to listen to all these opinions. Well, who's listening to these opinions? Adults? Kids? 18-year-olds? 50-year-olds? 60-year-olds? 70-year-olds? What mental state, what point of their life are they at that they might be groomed into believing you? Groomed into the possibility of this money coming, that now it affects their lives. And you don't have the ability to stand up and say, that's not true. Stop saying that. Prove it. Don't be spreading that fake news. I mean, you got one person that says that's the most damaging thing in the world, but yet when fake news is spread his way, he's okay with it. I'm not. So let's go over this real quick. Trump puts out an executive order about foreign interference. Now, remember, an executive order is only as good as the piece of paper it's written on if it's not going to be enforced by the people, right? So if I put out an executive order that says we all have to wear red shirts on Friday and nobody wears red shirts at Friday and there's no one there that's willing to enforce the red shirt Friday, then that executive order just won't stand. Let me give you another example. If I put out an executive order that says you all have to get the vaccine, you all have to do this, and states come out and say, well, we're not doing that, well, then that executive order is only as good as the enforcement of the executive order. Okay? So so remember that. Now, the executive order does not follow the presidency. So if that president leaves office, that's no longer his executive order. I'm giving you examples of this, 100% examples. If I can put out an executive order, if nobody enforces that executive order because they don't believe it to be, either a good decision or constitutional or whatever, they just don't have to enforce it. That's what happened with the mandates. An executive order was put out there, and states came back and said, no, we're not doing that. Companies came back and said, no, we're not doing that. We're not going to do that. Arrest me. Now, if there's no one there to enforce that, to push that, to put that in place, it doesn't matter. It's just a piece of paper. Because one, it's not, and then it's not a law, it's an executive order. So now Congress has to take it and see if they're going to create a law. Now, he puts out this in regards to foreign interference. Doesn't matter if it's true or false, doesn't matter. Let's just pretend something happens. Nobody's there to back him. All right? Nobody's there to back him. All right, so Trump meets with the GOP allies with an eye on challenging the court electoral. So he's like, okay, look, it's wrong. We got to fix this. The football game was lost. They cheated on the football game. They didn't get that many points. They didn't cross the finish line. They didn't cross the goal line. We have instant replay. Let's take a look. President huddled with Republican Congress allies in the White House on Monday to discuss the possibility challenging the football game referees votes when Congress convenes on January 6th to tally them? What would be the president's last-ditch attempt to overturn the results of the football game? You guys know I'm not talking about a football game, but just work with me here. All right. A number of the president's closest supporters on Capitol Hill attended the meeting, including Congressman Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, Mo Brooks, blah, blah, blah. These people. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, himself a former Republican congressman, confirmed. Several members of Congress just finished a meeting in the Oval Office with Trump, preparing to fight back against mounting evidence of yada yada. Stay tuned, Meadows tweeted last night. Several members of Congress just finished a meeting in the Oval Office with President Donald Trump, preparing to fight back, mounting evidence against the loss of the football game. Biggs, who chairs the House, told Fox Business in an interview that the group discussed the process for objecting the game during the joint sessions of Congress, which Vice President Mike Pence will preside over. We think we are going to actually be able to contest this, as you say, with one last objection from the House. We'll have dozens of objections in the House, and then at least one Senate, and we think we'll move. He'll have more than that. Arizona Republican. Since the election of which President-elect Joe Biden was declared the winner, Mr. Trump has mounted unsuccessful campaigns to overcome the football game during the counts of Republican-led state legislation in contest with the results. But a vast majority of lawsuits filed by Trump campaign and president allies in state and federal courts, as well as Supreme Courts, have been tossed out. And Republican lawmakers have resisted pressure by the president to subvert the will of the voters and seat their own set of referees. 538 members of the referees from 50 states and the District of Columbia met on December 14th to count the points. But on January 6th, when Congress convenes to count those votes, we will mark the final shot attempt for the president and his backers to challenge the outcome of the game. During the joint session, which required by law to ratify the results, members can object to the return from any individual state as they are announced, which opens the door for Mr. Trump's GOP allies to contest the state's results. Objections must be made in writing by at least one member of each House and Senate, after which the joint session will recess in the Congress chambers and debate the objections in their respective chambers for more than 2 hours, according to the Congress Research Service. All right. The things they got to remember is that it's not going anywhere, told reporters. In Senate, it would go down like a shot dog. And I just don't think it makes a lot of sense to put everybody through this when you know that the ultimate outcome is going to be. Senator Lindsey Graham, South Carolina, an ally for Trump, said challenging the votes would probably do more harm than good. All right. So this is what I'm trying to explain to you. So basically what happens, he had one more shot on January 6th to go in there and say, let's challenge this. Let's do that. And I need this to happen. Things went awry. Next thing you know, they did not challenge the votes. And even the people that said, look, it's not worth challenging the votes, right? Senator Graham said that challenging the votes would probably do more harm than good. So Senator Mitch McConnell last week not to object to the points when the joint session of Congress convenes. So he had another attempt. Now, this also coincided with the text messages, right? The text messages from Hannity was the same thing. Hang on. Sorry. All right. We can't lose the entire White House counsel's office. Basically saying, look, if all the legal lawyers in the White House are basically saying we don't have any ground to stand on, we're not going to be able to fight this. We can't lose the entire White House counsel's office. I do not see January 6th happening the way it is being told, the way he is being told after the 6th. He should announce will lead the nationwide effort to reform voting integrity. Now, basically what he's saying is, look, if we're not going to be able to get the White House lawyers behind us, the last-ditch effort to try to not let Biden in is not going to work. It's not going to happen the way he's told. They're not going to just come in and just change it for him. He's got no defense. He's got no support. Basically, he found out that he had no support. Now, this is from February 15, 2021. The courts have dismissed multiple lawsuits, right? So, following the Joe Biden swing in January 20th, no one court... Okay, there was a Facebook post that says no one court has looked at the evidence and said that Biden legally won. Not one. It's a false statement. State and federal judges dismissed more than 50 lawsuits presented by then President Donald Trump and his allies challenging the results of the game. So while he was still president, he started putting in lawsuits, and they were thrown out. They were saying, sorry, we're tossing them out, and we're not even looking at them. So early in the morning, January 7th, hours after Trump supporters stormed the Capitol, the U.S. Congress certified the electorals. So it's certified. Let's see if I can pull this up. And this is the statement from the electorals. Okay? That it's official. Biden is president. This right here made it official. Trump tried before to stop it on the 6th. The council didn't back him. Then he tried to, of course he was trying, while the things were happening, he was trying lawsuits. Those lawsuits were thrown out and tossed. On November 27th, 2020, a federal appeals court rejected a Trump campaign proposal to block Biden from being declared the winner of Pennsylvania. So this court threw it out. The federal appeals court rejected it. At the time, I don't know this name, on behalf of 3-judge panel wrote, free and fair elections are the lifeblood of our democracy. Challenging unfairness are serious, but calling an election unfair does not make it so, it added. Challenges require specific allegations and then proof. We have neither. So he had an opportunity to not have evidence, but proof. And you have to legitimately show proof, not evidence. You have to prove that it was overturned by that, right? You have evidence, just like Tap did. You have evidence if I'm holding a liquid in a bottle of water and I'm holding a glass. I have evidence that this glass will hold this liquid. My proof is when I pour it into the glass. Now I have proven that the water in this bottle, it was poured into this glass, and this glass is now holding the water. I just proved what I said. I proved it. Without a reasonable doubt, I proved it. Without a reasonable doubt, I proved it. All right. This is what happened. All right. I'm going to give you a quick recap. Trump knows there's a possibility of a problem with the game. He puts an executive order in place, hoping he will have enough clout with his people to enforce that executive order. The game comes up. He doesn't win the game. He says, fine, let's go ahead and do this. He gets no support for that executive order. None. Just like Biden is not getting support for his executive order on mandates. He gets no support. What happened to Biden's executive order? They took it to court. Courts started to hear this, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court. Okay? That's what happened. Trump did the same thing. It did make it to the Supreme Court. Courts were throwing it out because you're also dealing with states, right? So the states are saying, nope, we're not going to upheave this. It's going to stand. So Trump found out that the people he had in place, he could not pull enough clout to stop it. On January 6th, he thought a one last effort to not make that happen. Now, that one last effort was probably to bring the people, to show how many people he had on his side for the American people. He basically used the crowd, not to go in and do damage, but to show the amount of people that supported him. Look how many people support me. Look how many people believe me. Look how many people are out there wanting me. So he used the crowd as a large party, let's just say, to sway the electoral people. Okay? It didn't work. Pence came in, did the final. He was out. On the 7th, they certified it. He was done. I mean, even the text says, look, it's not going to happen. We can't lose the entire White House counsels. Most likely the lawyers are saying, we got nothing for you. We got nothing. We've gone to court. We've pushed this stuff. We've done this. So it's thrown out. They're not looking at the evidence. They won't allow us to get it to the proof stage. It's just not going to happen. So he says, I do not see January 6th happening the way he is being told. Most likely he's being told, yeah, you'll be fine. We're going to fight this. We're going to put it up there. Court's going to look at it and we'll redo it or whatever. He should announce we'll lead a nationwide effort to reform voting. He should basically say, look, then go to Florida, watch Joe mess up daily, stay engaged, and when he speaks, people will listen. And that's what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing. He's leaving the narrative going. He's bashing, legitimately bashing, because Biden is not doing a great job. He's bashing the president now, and people are listening. But what he's not doing is sending you secret codes. What he's not doing is asking you to wait for the storm, that the storm is upon you, that they're all being arrested, that he has the military, he has the power to arrest everybody, that he's the dictator of North Korea, because that's what people are wanting him to be. And these are adults. Adults. And if you would tell your child, don't worry, your 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 14-year-old child, don't worry about school. You're going to be getting free money from the Tsar. Trump is on his way. What would you tell that person? How would you respond to that? Adult. I mean, think about what some of these adults are saying. And it's even to the point that I can see what I thought was intelligent people drifting to that side. So either they're using those people or they're starting to say, oh, well, maybe, I can't wait. No. We no longer have the ability for critical thinking. We are truly becoming ignorant. And we're letting each other become ignorant. We're letting ignorance be groomed upon our channels. You're literally allowing the grooming of stupidity. Pence pressure, White House counsel will leave. So, and I'm not using this in regards to the Jan 6th. I'm using this into the mindset of what was happening. That's what happened. It's not continuity of government. It's not All this other stuff where they're bad people, there's always bad people. They're all bad people. There's always crimes that people are that they're getting away with. It sucks, but it's reality. It's just the way it works. And you want to hate me for this statement? You want to hate me for this little video podcast? You want to call me un-American? Saving people's mental states of saving United States citizens, Americans' mental stability. I believe that's American. I believe that that's a fight that should be fought. I believe the information that I'm putting out here is actually information and a way to help people. Help them realize that the road that they are on, by believing all this other stuff, is dangerous. And I know you believe the same thing. I know most of you believe the same thing, even though you attack me. You wouldn't tell your kids, don't worry about school. The SARA money's coming. You'll get some too. God, I hope not. But if you need to call me names, and you need to call me the enemy, because I dare to bring intelligence, critical thinking, and evidence, so be it. So be it. Because if it's becoming who I am compared to who some of those people are in regards to their mental state, their IQ levels, their critical thinking, and the path that they're going to go down, I choose mine. Because mine is reality. You're grooming delusion. You're literally grooming delusion by allowing people to continue on without pushback and saying that, you know what? Because if someone come on my channel and say this, I'm like, that ain't true. That's bullshit. That's a lie. You ain't going to say that crap. I'm going to challenge you every step of the way. Because I'm not going to allow other people to believe what you believe, because it's damaging to the mental status of the American people. It will destroy this country. And I will not allow you to state stuff that will destroy this country. I don't care if you're CNN, or I don't care if you're Liberty Warrior. Not on my watch.